Hello and welcome, this is Silverox, and on today's episode we are going to be making the 3D printed model of the CSGO R8 Revolver. Like always, if you like this and you want to get it for yourself, then go to my Patreon at patreon.com/silveroxleft. With only a $2 subscription you are able to get this and every other project that I pass. Also, remember to leave a comment, rating, if you subscribe to my channel, it helps a lot. So, with the introductions out of the way, I'm going to tell you what the difference between this and the papercraft model I have made in the past. Because the 3D printed version of this is actually a slightly modified version of the mesh I use for the papercraft model. Obviously, the biggest difference is the detail on this. I smoothed out all of the edges, rounded out all of the curves. This is a higher polygon count of the paper model. There is one major difference between this and the paper model, and that is the covers for the cylinder. When I originally made this, I didn't include these two pieces on here, so now I made sure to add them on. The other is the main body. If this decides to focus, you can see is divided into two pieces. Now this was for 3D printing reasons only, to allow me a completely flat surface, so I didn't have to remove these or alter these bumps on the frame. Other than that, that was all the difference, so enjoy the building process. We are going to be starting off with these two pieces. These of course are the mainframe pieces, and these, while printing these require supports for the inside of the pinholes, and this piece right here. While I was building it, obviously this took quite some time considering the size of them. As you can see, they are considerably big. It took up most of my printing table. The problem is, while pulling this one specifically off, this pin right here, it broke off. At the moment, if you can see that, let's see if they focus. I can't get the focus too well, but right there, this piece is broken, and the only thing that's holding it together is some silicone glue. So do be careful while pulling these on off. That can happen. It can also happen in this, the trigger guard, which is very thin, but considering the non-cylinder is actually quite strong. The top piece not so much. So this was this should be in the first STL file, the frame, and to go forward with it, we're going to create a second STL file that contains all of these pieces. That STL file, I believe it's called the hammer and the trigger STL file, but it does bring a few additional pieces that are going to be needed right now. It brings the key for the skiway. It brings a pin for the top right there, right there, and it does bring two additional pins on this STL file. And those pins are going to go over here. Now, as you can see, there's one already in here, but here is missing one. What I actually did while I was experimenting the fit on these pieces before I made the video, I put both of them in place and tried to fit them on there to see how tight it were. So when I was taking them off, I was pulling this one off and it broke. So I actually had to have a screw it inside the broken pin and pull it all out. So be careful, since these are printed in this configuration layer by layer. The pins are printed in the same way, so it is structurally weak on this one. So if you pulling it like this, it will break, so be careful with that. So to continue, you are going to be grabbing both your frames, stacking them together, using this pin as a guide, and this other pin as a way to keep it all together. It is a tight fit, but it is enough to hold it in place. Then, before we proceed into gluing these pieces, I'm going to set them off to the side right here, and I'm going to be bringing these. These are the end guards. And once again, something I forgot. To build these, you don't actually require any support for the print. They are all set flat, and they can all print as it is. But these pieces, despite all of it, they do require support, because on the back there is a keyway that needs to support the top. As you can see the residue of the mesh. You don't need to cut it all off, since I made the key thinner than it actually needs to be. And these they are printed in a different color, because not that I ran out of filament, but I wanted it to stand out on the frame itself. This to set these together is simple, it's just a press fit, and there you go. It came on the other side, and press it into place. This pushed. You have to make sure that the keyway goes into the keyhole. There we go. And this is the same thing. And there you go. This actually holds itself all together without any glue. Unfortunately, this type of fit is as far as it goes when it comes to support without glue. All the rest of the pieces, like this one, despite having the pin to go into the hole, they don't hold themselves together all that well. Including these two pieces that are going to go on the sides here. These don't hold that well either, so if you wanted to put this entire thing together without gluing it, this is as far as you can go. You can't go further than this. So now take this apart so we can glue it. So opening it up, the priorities here are going to be the trigger guard, the top rail, and the front piece right here. These need to be aligned properly, so be careful while adding glue to those parts. The rest, there is no need for that much of alignment, and don't worry about the overspill of the glue. You can just cut off the excess glue later on. So I'm going to be setting this in place right there, aligning the top, making sure it's set, aligning the front and the guard, squeezing it to get as much contact area as possible. As you can see right in there, some glue spills, so you have to take that off, otherwise it will be too tight for the end guards to go in. So clean this off. We go into the first half of the trigger guard, and add some glue just on the inside. No need for much here. The rough texture of the inside is enough to actually hold the entire thing in place. And the same thing for this one. Just a small amount of glue is more than enough to keep everything in its place. And there we go. This is the frame complete. Now to add all of these small pieces, the tiny one right here, this tiny one I'm going to put to the side, this is going to go alongside this one. If you can see on the top, there's a keyway, but I will be talking about that later. So adding the trigger, adding some glue to it, There we go. Now, something I didn't talk about in the trigger. I'm going to use the striking hammer as an example. You can see the striking hammer, this top face is completely flat. That's because on the back this is flat as well. The what would you call it? Trigger hole, the hole you put your finger. This actually is elevated right at the center, so it forms like a small beak at the top. The trigger guard is as a V notch in it to compensate for that, so you can't confuse the trigger guard with the hammer. So setting this one up now. Making sure it's centered. And there we go. That is both the trigger and the hammer in play. Oops! I actually knocked off the trigger. That's because, oh, since that came off, I can actually show you what I talked about before. If you can see right there, if it decides to focus on me, well, the camera isn't cooperating, but in there you can see a V notch that goes right where my fingernail is. That's so that it can ride the inside easily. There you go. This stays right there. And I'm moving on to these two pieces. These are just going to go into the side right there. I will be gluing them in place. They are designed to go on with just a friction fit, but like the rest of this build, I'm going to be gluing everything I can in place. It stays just like that. I don't remember. I think this is the safety for the revolver. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember how the revolver functions itself. But I do believe that this is the safety. So the next piece is going to be this. This is the third STL file. Inside this file you're going to have these two pieces. They are going to be the final part of the mainframe of the gun. They are going to have the back side. They are going to have the small things that attach at the bottom rail of the barrel and the top rail for the revolver. So to set these up, you're just moving everything to the side, making sure that the doesn't get in the way. And we're going to grab this piece, and this piece is designed to go in this position right here. And this is where this hole at the top comes in. This is designed for this hole as an alignment. This doesn't serve any structural support, it's just an alignment for the top. So to set this up, just a Dalvo glue in the pin, in the bottom right here, and in these two studs right at the top. So this goes right here and right there, and it should stay just like this, making sure nothing comes out of place. And now we are going to be adding this piece. It's really tiny, so be careful not to lose it. I'm gonna add a substantial amount of glue to this, and I'm going to be pressing it into the frame. And this is what it should look like. A warning, this small rectangle, I did need to sand it just a bit so that it would fit properly into that hole right there. So now that that's done, I'm going to be covering with some of this glue. The excess glue isn't needed, so off it goes. And our revolver is finally taking shape. That is going to be not to add the final part that would supposedly be the hinge that will allow the cylinder to come out. So it will come out just like this. But since I did break that pin and I don't want to print a new one, I'm just going to be gluing it in place, making sure that this is all structurally sound. So if you can see right here on the back, there is a groove cut out of the frame. This is for the back sides to fit right there. So like before, dab of glue just enough for this into place, making sure that it is aligned. Something I forgot to mention, make sure that this, by setting up the table, that this is all perfectly straight. This is essential later on for the barrel, because if this piece stays crooked, turns to one side, well, the barrel is going to be crooked as well. So the next piece is the top rail. That is going to touch right there, and if all the glue up went well, if you set this front notch against the front of the frame and set it down, it should be just touching the front of this piece of the sides. So just set some glue right there. That should be enough to make sure that this is centered and glued. And we are left with this. So what we are going to do now is, one, wait for all of the glue in this part to dry. Then we are going to be finishing the rest of the part with the cylinder and the barrel. So I'll bring those in. Now the next part is going to be assembling the barrel on this, okay, the pin for the barrel. So this is simple. This is just drop it into the barrel. There's just enough oil for it to rotate freely, and we are going to bring finally this front piece. This would have been the pivot to allow the barrel, push it in with a breaking pin, there we go, allow the barrel to fold outwards. But since I did break the pin, and I don't want to put the new one, what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this piece into its place, just like this. And I'm going to have to cut a little bit at the back. As you can see, it is actually too long, even in the print, so a little bit of work to do, so wait a moment. So what I did, that I just cut a little bit at the bottom to make sure that this will fit right there, as you can see. So what I'm going to do now, if I can get this out, I'm just going to be adding glue on the inside face right here. I'm not going to be gluing the seam. The seam is going to be free spinning. So just this part right here is going to be glued. So just get the glue gun. There we go, the piece is now glued in place, and this allows me, even though it doesn't allow me to keep the functionality, it does allow me to keep the detail of the supposed hinge that pulls the cylinder